Let's talk about foreign direct investment now. Indonesia is well on track to achieve investment target this year, following a sharp increase in the new investment during the first half of 2024. Total investment rose more than 20% year-on-year during the January to June period.
According to the latest investment data published by Investment Ministry, Investment Coordinating Board, investment realization reached a total of 829.9 trillion rupiah, or about $50.9 billion during the first half of this year. Investment Minister, Chairman of the Investment Coordinating Board or BKPM, Bahlil Lahadalia said in a press briefing on Monday, July 29, that the investment realization during the January to June period, which rose more than 22% annually, had already reached 50.3% of the target of 1,650 trillion rupiah set by President Joko Widodo. Of the total investment, foreign direct investment rose by 16% year-on-year to 421.7 trillion rupiah, or about $25.87 billion, while domestic investment reached 408.2 trillion rupiah, a nearly 30% increase compared to the same period last year. Investment realization in Java Island rose by 27.8% year-on-year to 413.7 trillion rupiah, or 49.8% of the total investment realization in the country during the first semester, while those invested outside Java reached 416.2 trillion rupiah, or 50.2% of the total. Based on sectors, the highest invest realization was recorded at the basic metal industry, metal products, and equipment with total value of 122.2 trillion, followed by transportation, warehousing, and telecommunication at 89.2 trillion rupiah, and mining at 87.9 trillion rupiah. The new investments during the first half absorbed employment of 1.22 million people. The job creation rose nearly 45% from 849,180 people in the first semester 2023, following a steady decline in the previous years. The ratio of labor absorption from investment realization in Indonesia has continued to show a downward trend during the last decade. In 2013, job absorption reached 4,591 workers per 1 trillion rupiah investment, while in the first semester of this year, 1 trillion rupiah investment can only absorb 1,470 workers despite the increase. Meanwhile, based on locations, West Java received the largest investment at 128.3 trillion rupiah, followed by Jakarta at 120.4 trillion rupiah, East Java at 71.7 trillion rupiah, Central Sulawesi at 59.8 trillion rupiah, and Banten at 58.3 trillion rupiah. Based on a country of origin, Singapore was the largest foreign investor during the January to June period, with a total investment of $8.9 billion, followed by China with $3.9 billion, Hong Kong with $3.8 billion, the United States with $2 billion, and Japan with $1.8 billion. A sharp increase in investment in Indonesia occurs amid the downtrend in foreign direct investment in the world. According to the UN Trade and Development or UNCTAD World Investment Report 2024, prospects for global FDI are challenging this year as the world economy faces weakening growth prospects and a continuation of tensions over trade and geopolitics.
Investment realization rose more than 20% to 829.9 trillion rupiah, or about $50.9 billion, or about half of this year's target. This increase is quite high, but rising global uncertainties could shadow investment prospects. Joining us today through Zoom is Bapak Andry Satrio Nugroho, the head of the Center of Industry, Trade and Investment at INDEF, and he will talk about the prospects of foreign investment inflow to Indonesia in the middle of rising global uncertainties. Hello, Pak Andry, how are you?
Hello, good to be back, Lisa.
Good to be chatting with you again, Pak Andry. Now, Pak Andry, investment realization in the first semester of this year rose more than 20%, as I mentioned before, and this has already exceeded a half of the target of 1.650 trillion rupiah for this year. With this achievement so far, do you think that this year's target is definitely going to be achieved?
Yeah, certainly the investment realizations in the first of 2024 deserves our appreciations, and I'm optimistic that the investment target set by the government will be achieved. However, if we look further, this investment realization is still not enough. I see there are still challenges ahead where investments are still dominated by the same sectors as in the previous year. So, namely the mining and mineral processing sectors and the basic metal industry. So, if we sum up the investment in these sectors, it approximately 119 trillion rupiahs, or 28% of the total investment in the first half this year. So therefore, the next challenge for the government is how to diversify the investment into the other industrial sectors.
Now, before we move on to the sectors of investment, the foreign direct investment already rose by 16% during the January and June period. Can you explain to us, Pak Andry, how is the prospect for the FDI for the rest of this year and beyond, given the rising global uncertainties that is still under escalation between the tension between Israel and Palestine, as well as Russian and Ukraine conflicts?
Well, I think geopolitical tensions are no longer the dominant factor in investment decisions today. The main challenge are economic, regulatory, and technical. So economically, we need to secure our domestic market. So many developed countries are shifting to nearshoring and offshoring. This is bringing investment back to their home. So this makes it crucial to show foreign investors that investing in Indonesia is profitable. So despite our large and huge market, it's not well protected. So leading to the influx of imported products that make locally produced good less competitive. This relates to the next aspect, which is the regulatory aspects. So today we see that our regulations are pro-import products. So many regulations, such as import restrictions, are currently being relaxed by the governments. This decreased the investment appetite. And on the other hand, there are many regulations that still face obstacles, such as land permits, I think environmental issue, and which I feel do not provide convenience for foreign investors. And lastly is the technical aspect. The technical aspect to support the investment. In this case is infrastructure, both physical and non-physical. So we still face the difficulties in obtaining skilled human resource. We still face poor road infrastructure. And on the other hand, our ports are not yet well integrated with each other, and there are still some port with long dwelling times. There's still plenty of ports that have dwelling times. So I'm optimistic if we can fix these three aspects, economic, regulatory, and the technically aspects, our FDI achievement will be much greater than today.
Well noted, Pa Andry. And speaking of investment, of course, this is also directly linked to job absorption. Now, job absorption from new investment this year rose to 45% to 1.22 million people in the first semester. However, it is still considered too small to help solve the country's high unemployment rate. What should the government do to further increase job absorption locally here in Indonesia?
Yeah, we see that Indonesia is currently facing a massive wave of layoffs, and the government must see this an urgent matters and needs, I think, extraordinary efforts to stop it. So the government must provide stimulus and incentives for the industry, especially for the labor-intensive industries that can absorb labor. I think this stimulus is expected to lower the cost for the industry players, so the industry players can be competitive again. So this incentive must be provided as soon as possible.
Now, Pa Andry, as you mentioned before, that the new investment is still dominated by the downstream industry, mainly in the mining sector. Do you think that this investment in the mining sector will still be growing for the next few years? And also, in what other sectors should we diversify to?
So yeah, going forward, the mining sector will remain attractive to foreign investors due to Indonesia's abundant natural resource and demand countries like China. Yet this sector must shift towards sustainability. So significant investment in the technology and I think the innovations are needed to support sustainable mining practices. This helped to reduce the negative environmental and social impacts. I think this transformation will be driven by export demands from developed countries that focused on sustainability. So I think investing in this sector is not just about boosting the production's capacity, but also adding the value through the sustainable processing. This way, we can keep the industry competitive and meet the growing global demand for mineral essentials for clean energy technologies ahead.
Andry, you mentioned before that our government seems to be too pro-importing clothing from outside of Indonesia. Is this why the manufacturing industry is no longer dominant? And is it because that Indonesia is no longer attractive to be invested in the industrial sector?
Yeah, simply put, I want to say that other than the pro-import regulations, we see that I want to say that our manufacturing industry is less competitive compared to other countries like China. They are already well advanced in this sector. The only way is to protect our large market and supply our own needs from the domestic industries. So by doing so, investor will be interested in investing in the sector. And of course, we also need to be cautious if foreign direct investment enters Indonesia in the manufacturing industry, because it could be that our industry has already collapsed and they are entering to take advantage of the large market in Indonesia.
Well, Pa Andry, at the moment we are far behind other countries, namely China. And just to mention the statistic here, that the contribution of the manufacturing industry to our GDP have been continuing to decline, and it is now only at 20%, and this is compared to 30% 2 decades ago. Then in your opinion, how can we restore our dominance in our economy then?
Yeah, previously I have explained the three aspects that hinder the investment in the industrial sectors. But however, the most important aspect that is often forgotten is the collaborations between the policymakers, such as the related ministries and government institutions. I see that these ministries are very uh, ego-sectoral, so sectorally egoistic. So each minister has their own agenda, and many of the agendas are political because each ministry is a party chairman, either party chairman or party elite. So they do not have the common agenda to advance our manufacturing industries. And based what I see, there are ministries that protect the domestic industries, but also that there are ministries that like to open imports. So the lack of synergy between the ministries leads to the absence of well thought of regulations. Now we can see the results that are the industry players who find out the difficulty to produce the products, and now we can see that the workers who are laid off, there's more significant numbers compared to the last years.
So the key is basically, to sum up, is to create a synergy free of political agenda. All right, Bapak Andry Nugroho, Center of Industry, Trade and Investment at INDEF, thank you so much for sharing your insights, and we'll be looking forward to more discussion with you on the next episodes. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.